What's going on Facebook and YouTube Live? Welcome to this episode of On Another Line Live. Thanks for joining in this evening, or if you're here seeing this later on and you're watching it after the fact, thank you for your support as well. If you're missing these lives, guys, I go live every Tuesday in the fall all the way through the spring, every Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join in. We'd love to see you. But again, thanks for joining this episode of On Another Line. Today we're going to talk about some of the things that I will never leave my house fishing without. That's not only baits, but techniques. We're going to talk about some rod and reel combos that I'll never leave home without. Some of my apparel and things that I'll never leave home without. And first and foremost, I want to tell you that a lot of the companies that I talk about today are affiliates of my show. However, I don't want you to think that I'm just out there clout chasing using their names because they're huge names. Guys, I talk about stuff on my show that I absolutely love. And a lot of that stuff is made by the people that are affiliates of my show. And the reason that they are affiliates of my show is the fact that I've used their products for years. I've created a relationship with these people. And the stuff that I think works the best is what I try to get my stuff around. And yes, Casey Kelly, the Zebco Bullet. I don't know, man. The 33 for me. Same deal, man. Glad to see you. Thanks for joining in. But a lot of these companies, a lot of stuff we're going to talk about is either handmade stuff that I use, stuff that's created by local companies here within my area, or things that I use personally. And again, take this for what it is. This is just something that we're going to talk about, things that I enjoy using. Am I saying they're the best? Absolutely not. I want you guys to understand that I am no way a professional when it comes to fishing. I love to talk fishing. I love to fish. And I'm trying to get better every day. What's up, Tyler Akers? Thanks for joining, man. It's been a while since I've talked to you. Hope things are all right. So with that being said, today's episode is going to be brought to you by the great folks at Shimano, which we talked about a little bit last week. But if you have not seen this 150 Corrado, this thing is an absolute monstrosity of a reel for the 150 series. We're going to talk about some of those things in just a little bit. But again, it is brought to you by Shimano. Just want you guys to be aware of that. They are an affiliate of the show. So those guys at Shimano and people like Drew Sadler at Sportco Marketing, Ethan, those guys that help me out, as well as through the tackle box there through Shimano. So thank you guys for that. First thing we're going to talk about today is going to be YouTube numbers for the last 28 days. I've had a really severe slump over the last 3 months when it comes to views and things. I think that's partly because I think I've talked about it on my channel before, but a lot of the views that I see on my channel is based on giving my advice or reviews on high-end Shimano and G Loomis products. With the supply chain being screwed up, the only thing that I've gotten new pretty much this entire summer has been this reel, and I just got that not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. So normally my videos are, I'm pumping out some of the new videos and things that are videos of new products that I get from Shimano, G Loomis, Power Pro, Jackal, things from the tackle box, you name it. I try to put those things out. That's where a lot of my views come from. And that's going to be where a lot of that stuff is slumped off because I haven't posted much of that content, but it's coming. YouTube numbers as far as right now, guys, I'm 11,000 views for the month. I'm not super happy with that, but I'm not upset. That's about 3,800 less than normal for the month. But again, it's kind of slowing down. There's not a lot of people fishing right now, so I'll take that for what it is, and I'll consider that a win. If we talk about for the last year, the last 365 days, I'm right at about 250,000 views, which I'm extremely happy with. 14,000 hours of watch time, and I've added 827 subscribers this year. So if you're new out there watching on YouTube, I would appreciate it. I appreciate your support more than you know. If you guys haven't subscribed on YouTube, I would appreciate some support. Again, right now, I'm looking at around, I think it's about, it's 3,130. It's actually 3,131. So it's 3,131 subscribers. I appreciate you guys joining that community over there on YouTube. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button. By the way, it's free. If you don't know how that works, just create a YouTube channel, hit subscribe. You'll get an email when I post new content like this live or stuff that I post. But anyway, let's get into the heart of today's show, and that's going to be talking about things that I'll never leave home without. It's going to be talking about baits. It's going to be talking about gear. It's going to be talking about, rod reel combos. It's going to be talking about some things I have in my boat. We're going to be busting through a lot of content here. So if you have a question, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer it. And again, this is just what I use. I'm not saying this is the best on the planet. This is what I enjoy using when I'm out fishing. So first and foremost, one of the first things I'm going to talk about is some baits that I'll never leave home without. And some of those are, you know, basically everybody's go-to, unless you're Mark Hickey and he doesn't throw jigs. But I create some new, I have some, these are 3/4 ounce jigs. I like 3/4 ounce football jigs more than anything. I do throw a 1/2 ounce and even 3/8 in given circumstances. But what we have here is a 3/8 ounce. I'm sorry, this is a 3/4 ounce football jig that I have actually modified my Do It mold to accept wire weed guards. I like the wire weed guard a little better than the fiber weed guard because I feel like the fiber weed guard gets a lot. It gets more flimsy as you use it, and it's going to cause that thing to actually, you're going to get hung up more often. Whereas this wire weed guard, you can just bend it back in place. And it doesn't, if you bend this back and forth enough, it's definitely going to break. It's just a braided piece of wire. But I also like the way it looks because there's not a big giant piece of black fiber sticking out away from that thing. A couple of the colors that I enjoy throwing, by the way, guys, I get my skirts from Jan's Netcraft, which is, I believe, in Toledo, Ohio. I order them online. But this is a color called Cumberland Crawl, which is a really good color. It's green pumpkin, brown, and black barred, which is a really good color for any time of the year. You can fish any color you want to, as long as it's green pumpkin. Same deal, 3/4 ounce football jig with just a green pumpkin. Some of my jigs, I don't think these do. These all have 4/0 hooks. I pour some jigs that have 5/0 hooks in them. These are just 4/0s, but I do bounce between a 4/0 and 5/0 depending on how big the trailer that I'm using. But this is another phenomenal collar here. Going to be, again, a 3/4 ounce jig. I'll throw a 1/2 ounce. I rarely go to 3/8 anymore. I just like to feel the bottom a lot better than this 3/4 ounce. And again, this is lead. So if it was tungsten, you'd probably get away using a smaller one. But the profile of this bait is not much smaller with a 3/8 ounce head. I like the weight to get to the bottom. I like the weight to feel the things that are on the bottom. That's why I choose the 3/4 ounce. So that's another good color, which is green pumpkin. Again, you can fish any color you want to as long as it's green pumpkin. A staple for me, especially in the wintertime months when stuff gets cold, this is black and blue with with blue fleck. I like this. Again, the skirt came from Jan's Netcraft. That's where I like to buy my stuff, either that or Barlow's Tackle, especially for the skirts, because they have such a huge plethora of things that you can actually choose from. And last but not least, one that's not going to be overlooked in any time is going to be the Pure Black Jig. I love this, and it's really tough probably for you guys to see on camera, but I have what's known as a vein powder paint on the head of this jig, and it's kind of a copperish, but it has black veins running through it. And how you do that, it's actually in the jig paint itself. It's just powder paint. When you get it hot, it goes from that copper and breaks up almost like a crackle paint, and you see those black veins underneath that. Larry Slack, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining tonight. Talking about things that I would never leave home without. Drop some comments below what you guys would never leave home without. So those are jigs, obviously. Pouring myself lead. I do like tungsten. Tungsten is really expensive, especially when you're talking about something that's bottom contact like this. Going to be pretty hard for me to switch to from lead to tungsten because I lose so many of them. And tungsten jigs are anywhere from $5 to $8 to $10 a piece, whereas I can pour one of these things for less than $1. So I'm going to stick with lead as far as that goes for the near future. Next up for me, something I'll never leave home fishing without is going to be some form of shaky head, I guess, a shaky head rig here. This is something that I pour myself. You can buy them at the tackle box. You can buy tons of them. What's up, brother? Mr. Wilt in the house, fishing the National Fishing League there, which is really cool, man. That's awesome. I was digging and watching you going through it. Barbecue Pringles, can't fish without them. So I'm a snacker, man. I like to have snacks on the boat. If I'm fishing a tournament, I rarely eat, which is weird. I guess I'm just so pumped up and trying to get into it. But I think my favorite go-to snack right now has to be, I don't know, it kind of bounces between two. One is Dots pretzels. If you never had a Dots pretzel, the original seasoned ones are phenomenal. They are expensive. They're like $6, $7 a bag, but they're worth every penny. And the next thing that I pack with me all the time is a Kind bar. There's I think it's called dark chocolate and almond. I think is what it is. I eat the fire out of those things. So you're right. Definitely something I can't leave without. But again, a shaky head here. Again, this is just something I poured. This is a 3/8 ounce. Does have the screw lock on the edge of it here. Allows me to put worms on here and connect them weedless. One of my favorite baits to throw on this, I don't have any handy. They're all upstairs. Is going to be a Jackal Flick Shake. This year, I started throwing a Yum Dinger 4-inch on these things. Caught a lot of fish on that. I also the Wacky Rig, which I don't have one here to show you, but a weighted Wacky Rig. It's a 1/16 ounce Jackal weighted Wacky Rig head that has a wire on it. It is weedless. I threw the 4-inch Yum Dinger on that thing all year and caught the absolute fire out of bass. Won 2 tournaments, finished second in another one on the same deal. So that is something that I will definitely keep in my boat and never leave. Deer jerky, man. I love any kind of jerky, deer jerky, beef jerky, turkey jerky. I will eat it if it's jerky. I want to be paid in beef jerky prices, man. I know it takes so much time and effort to make any kind of jerky because I've done it in the past, but man, beef jerky is astronomically expensive. It's crazy. It is so good. One of my favorite beef jerkies on the market, and I think you have to be local to us to actually understand what it is, but there is a company called Mingi's, but it's actually spelled Mingua, I think. Mingua. Everybody calls it Mingua, Mingua. It's made in Paris, Kentucky, but it's actually pronounced Mingy, Mingua, Mingy beef jerky. I love their garlic and onion. Oh my God. I think it's the best thing on the planet when it comes to beef jerky. But if you see that on the shelf and you want to have yourself a good snack out on the water, check out, again, it's spelled Mingua, Mingua, but it's actually pronounced Mingy's beef jerky. Check out the garlic and onion. You will not regret that purchase at all. So next, let's talk about some other things. Sorry, guys, I got stuff laying all around me here. I want to make sure that you guys are seeing these. Again, I don't care what time of year it is. I just think they catch fish, usually in the spring more than anything, early fall. It's going to be a spinnerbait of sorts. I feel like they catch fish all the time. I throw them a lot, especially these three here that I'm going to show you guys. And this is my favorite one. This is a tackle box spinnerbait, willow leaf, one Colorado there. Large willow leaf. This willow leaf is a little bigger than most because this is a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait. I like the white with black specks in the skirt. I also run a trailer hook. And one thing, reason I chose this one right here is because I want to show you guys something that kind of works, that kind of irks me. And that is if I have a trailer hook that falls like this, I will replace it. The issue is I want this thing sticking straight out because I know the water's going to have a little bit of effect on there, but it's not going to be at the right angle that I want. With these actual Gamakatsu trailer hooks, this is a 1/0 Gamakatsu trailer hook. It's just a piece of rubber. You can unhook this and rehook it through a different portion of that rubber and get that to stand straight out. But this is one of my favorite ones from the tackle box. I like this in a 3/8 ounce more than a 1/2 ounce, but I don't have a 3/8 ounce here to show you in this white collar. Randy, what's up, buddy? Played with Vanford at Sportsman's Warehouse. Was very impressed, man. The Vanford is an amazing reel for the price point. I didn't think that they could upgrade the Stratic CI4. I was skeptical. I was hesitant to believe that when it come out and they said, hey, I was talking to Drew Sadler from Shimano and he said, hey, we got a new reel coming out called the Vanford. It's going to replace the Stratic CI4. I got like 8 CI4s in my boat and I was just bummed. I was like, no way they're making a better reel than this thing. And no way that, it was okay because like I got the best reel on the planet for the price point. So I'm okay with it. And then I started using the Vanford and you were right, man. It's very impressive. Super lightweight. You're getting a lot of the really high-end features that you would get all the way up into like the Stella is trickling down into that price point, which is amazing. I guarantee if you buy a Vanford, you're not going to regret it. I have both the 3000 and 2500 series. I mainly fish 3000 series spinning rods or spinning reels when it comes to Shimano, just for the simple fact is I like to hold a little more line and the paddle handle that comes on those 3000 series as opposed to the really small handle on a 2500. The difference between a 2500 and a 3000, I've talked about it several times in the past, but most Shimano spinning rods or spinning reels, sorry, not spinning rods, spinning reels, the differentiation between a 2500 and a 3000, the frame size is the exact same. You're just getting a bigger spool, and sometimes the gear ratio is a little higher on those 3000s. Plus, you get the paddle handle as opposed to that that single handle that you get on a 2500. What's up, Matthew? Dude, it's hard to beat that Gamakatsu. I'll show you another one here. So this is another one of my favorite tackle box spinner baits. And again, guys, these are all from the tackle box as far as the spinner baits that I'm going to show you here. I always get the question, can I buy these things online? Can I get them to ship them to me? I'm right now, no. I wish they would because they would make a killing. But they just have so much business going on in and out of the tackle box up there right now that they just can't do anything like that. They don't have anybody full-time to do that. But if you really would like to try some of these things, get a hold of me. You can PayPal me the cash. I'll send them up there to you. If you pick up the shipping, we'll work it out. But I have some line here on this one, so you're going to have to disregard that. But this is a 3/8 ounce spinner bait from the tackle box. Same deal, willow leaf on Colorado. This is a chartreuse and white with black. I really like this color a lot. I throw this color right here in white, or this size in white, just like this one, a lot. I don't throw a half ounce much. I like this smaller spinner bait, especially when it comes to the area that I'm fishing, the Ohio River and things like that. I just feel like this thing gets bit more. I have the bigger ones to throw in the springtime for bigger fish when I'm actually looking for those bigger bites. And I really don't care to, catch 100 fish a day. What's up, David? Thanks for joining, buddy. Glad to see you out there this evening. So this is a really good color. Same difference. This one here is a little different. Same setup as far as the skirt. We don't have the black specks in this chartreuse. This is almost called, I think this is what they call a sexy shad there at the tackle box, chartreuse and white. But this has a set of hammered blades on it, which I really like. I think that gives a little bit more flash in the water, gives a little bit more broken up flash, if you will. Allows for a little more erratic looking movement to it. And that is, some spinner baits that I'll never leave home without. That's going to be a tackle box spinner bait in 1/2 ounce and 3/8 ounce in willow leaf. And again, they do make double willow leaf blades and stuff. There's some that has triple. My favorite one is the one single willow leaf and one Colorado blade, which is a little smaller. I do like the hammered blades, and I also make sure that every spinner bait that I throw has a Gamakatsu. And you can see this one right here. This one's set up correctly. If I hold this thing directly out, you can see that hook stays directly out from the hook and creates an opportunity. If a fish is short striking that bait, gives the opportunity for that fish to actually hold on to that bait or to get hooked by that bait by short striking it. Hey, Jamie, thanks for joining from the cold north of Pennsylvania. I think you would, or thank you for joining there. Sorry, I just got an email and it flabbergasted me there a little bit, but thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you supporting the channel and joining live. All right, so let's talk about one of my favorite crankbaits that you can't buy anymore. Again, I apologize for having to bend down here. I don't have any room here on my table. So my favorite crankbait right now on the planet has got to be a KVD 1.5, and it goes without saying that the KVD 1.5 just absolutely catches them, and it's a Strike King 1.5. But my favorite is the rattling 1.5. Hopefully you guys can hear that. It does have some rattles in it. You can only buy the rattling 1.5s at Bass Pro. It's a Bass Pro exclusive. You can go to the tackle box and go anywhere you want and buy a 1.5, but you can't find the rattling ones. They're in a black box unless you go to Bass Pro. They're an exclusive of Bass Pro. So I'm gonna lay you guys on one of my favorite collars here, and I swore I would never do this, but you can't buy them anymore. You can have somebody repaint them if you want. This is an OG. This is actually from Strike King, but this is one of my favorite collars on the planet called Copper Crawl, aka Small Jaw Killer. Looks like a small jaw killer in mine and Kyle's repertoire, but anywhere else it's called Copper Crawl. Looks like a reverse crawdad. Looks like it's going backwards. It does have a red front on it, and does have some eyes in the back side of it here. Hopefully you guys can see those red eyes there. But this crankbait right here absolutely murders largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. If I want to make sure that I'm going to catch fish and I want to throw something that I feel like I'm going to get bit on all the time, it's going to be this crankbait, and it's called Copper Crawl KVD 1.5. I like the rattling 1.5s pretty much more than anything else than a regular 1.5. I like the silence. They do have their place, especially when fish are finicky, but a lot of times I'm throwing crankbaits in murky water around this area anyway, so I like that extra thump that adds. What's up, Dustin? Hey, buddy. Thanks for joining, man. See you tomorrow in class. Another favorite collar I have, I think they actually call this Bone, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a KVD 1.5. Notice that this one is silent. This is something I picked up at the tackle box. I would say I'm almost 100% positive this collar is called Bone. It's just a white shad with a gray back. It's like a grayish blue back. Does have the little shad dots on the side. Catch a ton of fish on this thing. It's going to be something that I'm not going to leave my house without right now for sure. Definitely a 1.5. So something new that I think is going to have a really big play, or going to be a good player in my arsenal, is going to be the new chick magnet crankbait from Strike King. And again, I'm not affiliated with Strike King in any way. I just love their baits. They're amazing. I have more Strike King crankbaits and Strike King baits than anything on my boat, I think, other than soft plastics. But I picked up one of the chick magnets to throw because they're slim-sided. They're a balsa bait, and they do have a what's known as a I'm trying to think of the word, and I should be able to think of it because I'm a computer guy. It is a microchip board, but this is the crankbait that in question here, called the Strike King Chick Magnet. You can see it's a lot thinner than most crankbaits. Again, resembles the old school balsa baits. Very thin, has the microchip board, digs a lot quicker, digs a lot faster, digs a lot more erratic. And the cool thing about this bait, has a rattle as well. I'm pretty sure this thing is going to catch some fish. I've already caught 2 bass on this. I weighed 1 bass in a tournament the other day on it. So I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that this collar and this bait will catch fish. And this thing runs phenomenal. I love it. It runs really, really good. I can bet your rear end I'll have several of these in my boat before the springtime comes, and I'm actually throwing crankbaits again. Again, this is the Strike King Chick Magnet crankbait. Phenomenal for what it is. Several of the baits, I'm not going to get into a ton of baits, guys. You guys have seen all the stuff that I've used over the years, and you guys know that I use a lot of Jackal products. I use a lot of Zoom. I have started using a lot of the power bait series from Berkley, the Berkley power bait, like the flatworms and things of that nature. Open up this water here. But the Yum side of Senkos, I have fallen in love with those things this year. And a lot of the reason is for the cost savings. You can buy a bag of Yamamoto's, and they're $8, $7, or $6.99, or you can buy a bag of Yum for $1.99, $2.99. Are they different? Sure. Yamamoto puts a ton of salt in their stuff. I heard somebody talking about it the other day. I wish I knew who it was, but somebody was talking about Yamamoto baits, saying that they put a lot of salt in there and it's abrasive, and that's why Yamamoto baits are so prone to tearing and ripping and stuff, which makes sense to me. There's not a ton of salt in Yum. I just, hook if I'm throwing Wacky Rig or whatever, I'll just hook my hook right through the worm, which a lot of people use the O-rings, which totally up to you. I think they both work phenomenally well. You're probably going to use less worms or less baits using the O-ring method as opposed to just hooking through the belly. But at $1.99 a pack, I'm okay with doing that and spending the money on extra bags of worms as opposed to having to buy O-rings. Cornerstone Baits, new bait company out of Texas. The DP15 is similar to the 5XD, but it has a hard knock rattle and tighter pull. Dude, I'll have to check it out. That's awesome. I love checking out new baits. And is it obviously, are they handmade baits, or is it something that's just new, that they're a new upstart? Yeah, Jamie, the flatworms are deadly on pretty much, any kind of fish on a drop shot. You're right. And I am lucky enough that my local dealership here, my local tackle shop, the Tackle Box, which you guys get tired of me talking about, I'm sure of it, because they have a ton of selection, but Greg Drown at the Tackle Box has some sort of hookup. I don't know what it is. He literally got 2 truckloads of power baits the other day. So I was up there the other day. He has every flatworm collar that I think they make in stock. That's local to me here in Ohio. They don't ship and they don't sell online, unfortunately. But they are to be had in some places. I think it's coming around. You're getting more and more of them out in the tackle shop. So hopefully here soon, especially by spring, hopefully you'll be able to pick those up anywhere you want. Yeah, man. Yum dingers are the bomb.com. All right, new upstart working on with their owner on this line. They're from similar to 6th Sense and Strike King, but their own flair. Dude, I dig it. Keep me posted on that. I would love to see what you guys come up with. I'm all the time looking for new baits, and I'll check out Cornerstone. Hey, Mitch, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining in tonight. Hope everything is fine on your end up that way. So let's talk about a couple reels that I'll never leave home without. One of those being one I have in my hand here, and the reason it's not on a rod right now is because I'm waiting on my NRX Plus to come in still. The supply chain, man, is making it very tough on fishermen, and not only fishermen, but fishing store owners and stuff. But one of my favorite reels on the planet ever, and this one actually has some rubber stuck to it from the case I had it in there. But this is a Shimano Corrado Dc. It's really tough to see because of the light. Shimano Dc or Corrado Dc, or any DC reels, whether that be an SLX DC, the Corrado Dc, or if you want to step up to the Metanium DC. These are 3 phenomenal reels that you're going to have a lot of potential to throw different baits with. But if you're throwing like a crankbait or a spinnerbait or something into the wind, the Corrado Dc is a phenomenal reel. Super, super smooth. You're going to get micro module gearing. You're getting Hagane body, Hagane gears in this thing. You're getting super nice drag. You're getting obviously that the DC or the digital control. What happens is, if you don't know anything about a Shimano DC reel, is that when you make a cast here with this reel, let's just take the side cover off here so you guys can see it. Inside this cover, you're not going to be able to see it, but inside this little hole right here, this white piece right here is what's known, this is going to be a microprocessor. So what happens is there is a rotor on the actual spool. You can see that piece right there. That is a rotor, and as the spool spins, it generates electricity and actually drives this microprocessor that's in the housing of this, and it checks the spool speed of your reel every 1/1000th of a second, and it applies the brakes that it sees fit in its algorithm to slow your bait down to allow you to cast farther, cast smaller baits, and cast into the wind effortlessly. Again, a couple of questions everybody wants to know about the Corrado DCs, or any of the DC stuff for that matter. First off, is it waterproof? Yes. They call it water resistant, but they've been using this technology in China and Japan for like 10 years, and they just ported it over into the U.S. market in the past couple of years. The reason that is because Americans, from what I understand, we cast a lot harder. We cast bigger baits. We're just usually bigger in stature than people from that area. So we were just breaking them, and they've made them beefier and stuff, and made the technology a little more accessible for us Americans. And that's where the Corrado DC come in, which then was ported into the Metanium DC as well as the SLX DC. And if I were going to tell you to get into the market of DC reels, and you think the SLX DC being a lower price point reel is not that good, trust me when I say this. If you want a DC reel and you don't want to break the bank, the SLX DC is absolutely worth the money. You're getting a lot more features with the Corrado DC, and even more features with the Metanium DC. So that's something that I'm not going to leave home without. My very favorite reel on the planet right now, and it's not the most expensive reel on the planet, is going to be a Corrado K200. This is a 150. This is a brand new reel. Basically the same thing. It's going to be a lot smaller, or a lot bigger, a little bit bigger than this. It's not massively bigger. The spool's a little bigger. It's a little deeper. It holds a little more line. My favorite reel on the planet right now that I will pick up 9 times out of 10 is that Corrado K200. It could be in the 6, 7, 8 gear ratio, depending on what I'm throwing. I will be picking up some of the 150s just for the simple fact is that I think this is going to be a good happy medium between the Shimano 70 and the Shimano 150, or the Shimano K200, the Corrado. I think this is going to be a game changer for the price point and where it's at. My all-time favorite reel that I own right now, as far as a bait caster, is going to be definitely a Core Solid Metanium. It is in a league of its own. And I know what you're thinking. That reel is astronomically priced. You're talking $450. You're right. It's an extremely, extremely high price reel. Is everybody going to be able to afford one? No. Do I own more than one? No. But I will tell you, it is the most bad to the bone reel I've ever owned in my life. The Core Solid Metanium is literally in a league of its own. So with that being said, spinning rods, a couple of the rods that I will never leave home without. It's going to be something that I absolutely will guarantee you I will have in my boat. One of those is going to be the Shimano, used to be the NRX. Now I'm going to put the NRX Plus in my boat, which is going to be the 852S. That's going to be the rod that I'm going to be using 9 times out of 10. You're looking at a 7-foot 1-inch 2-power, and you're going to be the NRX Plus. Anything that I'm going to be using bottom contact wise, excuse me, I don't care to step up to that higher price point to buy an NRX or an NRX Plus. If it's a moving bait, I'm not going to be throwing on an NRX. I think it's a waste of money. Are they phenomenal for what they are? Sure. But I don't need something super sensitive to know that a largemouth has choked a crankbait or a spinnerbait. I want to be able to feel the bottom. That's why I buy high-end reels for that, or rods for that. But that's going to be the rod. Going to have on it either a Vanford, or if you can afford it, an X-Sense is in a league of its own. I own an X-Sense, and I have it on an 822S. The Shaky Head rod, SYR, NRX Plus, most phenomenal spinning rod I've ever had in my hand. I can't wait to get the 852 and pair it up with probably going to be a Vanford, I would say, because I have one of them, and it's going to be phenomenal. The Vanford is amazing too. As far as casting rods that I'll never leave home without, one of those bottom contact rod is going to be the NRX. Now an NRX Plus again. Depends on what I'm. The old one was the NRX. I sold it. I'm getting an NRX Plus. The 894 is going to be my absolute go-to NRX bottom contact rod for bigger jigs, bigger things like that. The 893 is going to find a place in my boat. And the third rod that is a casting rod that I'll never leave home without is going to be the 7-foot 2-inch heavy Poison Adrena. Don't let the heavy action fool you. You see that 7.2 heavy, you're probably thinking whooping stick. You're like, man, this is going to be just a monstrosity of a rod. I'm going to have to go throw a frog on it or go through big jigs. It is not the case when it comes to that 7-foot 2-inch heavy. Don't overlook it for even Texas rigs and things, because that's what I throw on it. The tip is plenty good enough for a Texas rig, has plenty of backbone, and is almost as sensitive as my NRX or NRX Plus. I have an old green generation 832 shaky head rod NRX. That'll make the 822 SYR mag mediums. Have you fished either? Yes. So that's what we're just talking about there. I have the 822 SYR right now in NRX Plus, and that thing is amazing. Like, when I got it, I was thinking 822, 6'10". I like a little longer rod. I'm like 6'10", man. This is going to be, a little out of my wheelhouse. So I bought one anyway because I wanted a shaky head rod. I didn't own one at that point. I will tell you that the NRX Plus 822 SYR is the absolute lightest rod I've ever had in my boat. It is absolutely that light. It is amazing the difference between it, even the old NRX and the new NRX. The new NRX Plus, you're getting multi-taper design, which allows the taper of the rod to change in different locations where it needs to be to allow the actions to still be there, to still have plenty of the backbone and rigidity that you've come to expect from NRXs or the G Loomis line in its entirety. But it also allows to have portions of the rod to be thinner to allow weight reductions as well. So have I fished the Mag Medium 822S? Yes, all summer this year. I had my hands on one from about March or April. Actually, I don't know exactly when they released the NRX Plus. Whatever day they released them, I had the 822 in my hands the following weekend. I was super lucky to get it. So since then, I'm going to guess, we'll say May to be, actually, I'm lying to you. I know exactly when it was. It was about the second week of June, because I was at Lake St. Clair the first week of June, came back, it was on my porch. So since the second week of June, all the way through, I quit fishing there a week ago or whatever. I'm not quit, but hopefully I can get back out. But I haven't fished regularly since then. 822 shaky head rod. Don't be fooled by that Mag Medium. Has plenty of tip and plenty of backbone, and don't be scared away by that 6'10" length either, because it's perfect for shaky heads. David, I don't, man. I'll reach out to Drew tomorrow, because that's usually in April, March. I think it's in April, usually in Cumberland. Normally, don't quote me on this, man, but normally anything that's Shimano that's $100 or more will allow you to enter that Shimano Owners Tournament. And if you're unfamiliar with what he's talking about, guys, in my area, and I'm sure they do it in other areas too, Sportco Marketing, the marketing firm that markets Shimano, G Loomis, Power Pro, and Jackal in the United States, that do other brands as well. But Shimano, they market Shimano in the United States, and they have a tournament here on Lake Cumberland, which is about 3.5 hours for me, but it's free for Shimano owners. The only thing you have to do to qualify to enter the tournament is buy, as David said, a qualifying piece of gear from Shimano. Usually it's like a Corrado reel. I would say that the Corrado rod will definitely be something they push this year. I don't know. Again, I keep saying this. I don't know this to be fact or not, but I have a feeling, and don't take this to the bank, but the only rod that Shimano hasn't upgraded in several years is the X Pride. I look for there to be an updated version of the X Pride coming out at ICAST this year. Again, that's total speculation. I don't know anything about that. That's not insider trading or anything. I just think that there will be a new X Pride coming out, and I figure it'll be in July when ICAST rolls around. But as far as the Shimano Owners Tournament goes, I'm not sure. I'll reach out to Drew tomorrow when I get some information. I'll let you know, because I'm more excited about it. I'm just as excited to fish it with you guys than you guys are. Kyle and I always fish it. We absolutely get smoked down Lake Cumberland, but it's a fun tournament. Free to enter. It's not free, obviously. You're going to have to buy some Shimano gear, but you're going to do that anyway usually. So it gives you the opportunity to buy that stuff and go down and fish a free tournament. And the tournament, they pay a lot of money back. It's like over $10,000 that's paid back. They give away a ton of rod and reels. Like if you win the tournament, it's like $2,500 a piece or something, or maybe more than that, plus 2 NRX Plus rods. So you're making a ton of money. Fun weekend. They do it down in Conley Bottom on Lake Cumberland. Usually over 100 boats. Usually a great time. All right, so we talked about some of my baits, talked about some of the rods I'll never leave home without. Let's talk about some of the gear that keeps me comfortable. And one of those is going to be my rain gear that I use. Guys, if I can give you any kind of information or any kind of advice coming from a non-pro fisherman that fishes pretty much every weekend, do not skimp on rain gear. Because one thing I'm going to tell you is that having good gear as far as keeping you dry on the water is going to be something that's going to either make or break your experience on the water. So that's what I'm figuring that's what's going to happen, Jamie. I think you're right. I think it's going to have the monocoque handle, or what do they call it, a monocoque handle, or the carbon handle. We'll call it the carbon handle that the new Zodius has, the Poison Adrena has. I thought they would bring out the new X Pride before the Zodius and step that down into the Zodius, but they just skipped that altogether. So I am hoping that they come up with something crazy that actually changes the X Pride from the Zodius lineup drastically. Other than the price point, and you're getting a little better blank and a little better guides, and you're getting cork on the X Pride, I don't feel like there's a huge difference in the feeling or how they work or how they feel fishing as opposed to the new Zodius and the old X Pride. So I feel like they're going to have to really change the game here with the X Pride to get, you know, the X Pride back where it should be at that. You know, you're talking about that $300 price point. You know, if I was going to look at the $359 price point of a Poison Adrena at most places, you know, up to $399, I guess the large moving bait is $399. But if I was going to look at that, I would definitely probably boost up that extra $50 to $100 and buy the Poison Adrena, just for the fact of you're getting a lot more weight reduction. You're also getting a Spiral X core with the Poison Adrena. So hopefully they will actually, you know, hopefully they do something game changing there. What's up, Adam? Hey, buddy. Have you seen the new Berkley Agent E swim bait with a floral weed guard? I have seen them. I saw them on the actually I think it was on Edwin Evers bait, or on his Instagram. So let's see if we can find this. I'll see if I can find it here, and we'll bring it up and talk about it. It's kind of a mix, I think, between, it looks almost, man, it looks like a 6th Sense bait, but it also looks very similar to the Dark Sleeper that's made by Megabath. Am I saying that they knocked it off? No. I think that they have, you know, redesigned it because it does have a weed guard and stuff on it, whereas the Megabass Dark Sleeper uses the fins of the bait as the hook keeper. So let's pull this thing up here and check this thing out. So given here, this right here, let's go. Well, if I would add the right thing instead of my song here. So here it is. Here's just the you know, this is the Agent E, and this is in HD bluegill. Looks like it comes in several different colors. Here is bruised sapphire. Let's go ahead and solo this so we can see this a little bigger. So there's blue sapphire. This is green pumpkin, red fleck. That one right there, dude, just looks like it's going to get absolutely mowed. Kind of weird here. I've just noticed here on these photographs that the mold, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but on this right here, the lead is coming through there. And I don't know if these are tungsten or what, but you can see that it's actually coming through like they weren't fully molded. And you saw this here too. Is it going to change the way the bait works? No. But these things are like, let's see, they are $6.99 to $8.99. And as far as I know, these things only come, that's one pack. So you can get them in a 2 1/4 inch all the way up to a 1 ounce size, which is 3 3/4 inch. So you can get these things in fairly large deal. There's way more colors here than I thought. There's, you know, a ton of different colors. Let's check these out. So here's the HD Chartreuse Shad. Let's see. Let's just go back and dig our way through here. So that was that one there. And then we have HD Gizzard Shad. I really like that one a lot. That one really looks good too. The Goby. I love the collar pattern on these things. The eyes look freaking sweet. There's a yellow perch, man. That thing looks so realistic. And I don't know if you caught it on that last one back there about the brown crawl, but it literally has the crawdad stuff on it. Looks like crawdad armor there, or their exoskeleton. These things, I have a feeling, are going to be absolutely phenomenal, especially for smallmouth, but I guarantee a largemouth will hit it. I want to see how, you know, how, I guess, stiff or rigid that mono weed guard is there, because if it's super, super stiff, I feel like it could cause you to not get hooked up. But one thing I'm noticing here, I keep seeing this, that all of, or maybe they're all that way. You just can't see it in the lighter collars. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's always sticking out there, but you can only see it in the darker collars. Don't ask me why that is, but it seems like that is the case. It looks like they all, it's where the mold stops there. So the white one, you really can't see it, but I believe they all have that. It's just harder to see in some of the collars. So to a long answer to your question there, Adam, do I think they're going to be a good bait? Absolutely. And considering you can get it from a smaller bait, talking about 2¼ inches, going to be at 3/8 ounce size, going to come in a 3/8, ½ ounce, 3/4, and a 1 ounce, which is crazy, man. A 1 ounce, basically a finesse bait here. You could throw this baby in some super, super deep water and get that thing down in an absolute hurry. Again, it looks like it's about $7.99 for the pack. The ones that are $8.99 is going to be the HD Goby in the 3 3/4, the HD Yellow Perch in 3 3/4, and let's see, the HD Bluegill, HD Brown Crawl. So all of the HD collars in the big 1 ounce version are going to be the $1 more. The rest of them are $6.99, $7.99. Hey, Ryan. Thanks for joining, man. JDM Titanium. Have US model and love it, but one of the smaller spool would handle 1/8 ounce tungsten weights on T-rigs, Texas rigs, any better than the 150 size. Man, I have never tried anything JDM other than the old Poison Adrena that they ported over to the United States, which had the removable handle. And a lot of people don't know why that Poison Adrena used to have a removable handle. And it wasn't for anything here in the United States. It was actually for the JDM market. They have smaller cars over there. So they actually would pull that butt end off, and it would allow them to put it in the smaller trucks and vehicles that they drive there, which is pretty neat. I've never fished anything JDM. I know Aaron Strickland and those guys actually have some things going on. They fish a lot of the JDM reels, and I'm trying to think of the one. I think it's a Scorpion he fishes a lot. I've been wanting to get my hands on a Shimano Poison Ultima rod, which is JDM only. So I can't speak on the JDM Titanium, but if you want something to throw smaller baits on like that, 1/8 ounce weights as far as tungsten and Texas rigs and things, and you don't care to be able to cast super far, because this reel does not at all hold a ton of line, but you need to check out the new Shimano Finesse reel. See if I can pull it up here. And that is I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it there, but it's the Corrado Bfs, which is a bait finesse system, BFS. It has a different spool. It's more of it's a more shallow spool. It's also like wiffled. That will allows for less line. Let's see if I can pull this thing up really quick here. So here is the BFS, and sorry, this is not going to be super huge for you to see it there. I can make it a little bit bigger. You can see that spool is a little, there we go. We'll make it a little bit bigger for you. You can see that the spool is wiffled there. It's also really shallow, but this thing has a brand new braking system in it called the Finesse brake system. And this thing actually has magnets inside of the spool side here to allow you to throw very, very small weights. And I wish they would show the braking system, but they don't here. Here's a little better view. So the Finesse Tune brake system, FTB, again, inside here, you're going to have some magnets that will allow that to create some magnetic force on the spool. Again, the downfall, the one thing that you're going to definitely take a hit on here is going to be the amount of line that you can actually hold on this thing. And you can see here the 6.2 gear, or the 6.2 weight, and both of these, the only thing that you can get this is an 8.2 to 1 gear ratio. That's one of the downfalls. Another thing here is that if you're throwing braid on it, 45 pound or 15 pound, you can only get 45 yards of braid on this thing. So you get a small amount of line, but you are getting casting distance for smaller baits like that 8 ounce tungsten Texas rigs and thing. If you want to set up a rod just for that and you don't care to cast 100 yards, check out that Corrado Bfs. I guarantee it'll be something that you'll like. Me personally, I don't own one, and I don't know that I will own one because of the gear ratio. If it was 6 gear ratio, even 7 gear ratio, I would probably consider it. But I would like to have it for a small spinnerbait reel that I can throw in and around docks and things on the Ohio River. And I'm not going to be throwing a spinnerbait a country mile anyway. but the 8 gear ratio kind of, kind of turns me off a little bit about that. All right, so back to the point at hand. We're talking about the gear that I use as far as rain gear. Absolute favorite rain gear on the planet is the Bass Pro. It's, KVD's signature stuff. It's the 100-mile-an-hour suit, or 100 miles per hour suit. Super phenomenal. Kind of expensive. They do have the 200-mile-per-hour suit. I don't know the difference. There's probably more padding or more as far as like insulation and things. The 100-mile-per-hour suit, I've had it for about 7 years now. Misty bought it for me as a gift for Christmas. She bought the parka for me and the bibs. The bibs I wear a lot because if it's semi-cold and not uber cold, if it's, between like 40 degrees and higher, I will wear them 100% of the time until it gets into the 50, 60 degree range. Then I'm taking them off. But they're comfortable. They're breathable. They will keep you dry all day. And it keeps the wind off from you. You're running to places and things like that without wearing the jacket. If it's super cold, something I'll never leave home without is going to be a Stormer suit. I have a Stormer Prime jacket, which is no longer made, which has now been ported over into the Striker line. The Striker bibs and the Striker jacket is phenomenal. Absolutely the best cold weather gear on the planet, in my opinion. I love the fact that it's neoprene. It keeps wind off from you. You have to learn how to dress underneath Stormer suit, though. You're not going to put Stormer bibs on under a bunch of base layers and things, or over a bunch of base layers and things. You're going to absolutely burn yourself up. Pair of jeans, sometimes just a long sleeve t-shirt under my jacket, and I'm good to go all day. Hey, David. Thanks, man. Out for dinner, kitchen to get home. Talk some of your favorite frogs, please. Got to place that order tonight. Thanks. I hope your family had a great Thanksgiving. We did, buddy. I hope you did as well. So back to that, the other reason I like the fact of the Stormer gear is that I have, it has positive buoyancy. So God forbid you fall in the water, and don't think this is going to take the place of a personal flotation device, because it does not. But most rain gear, when you get wet and fall in, it actually soaks up water and causes drag on your body, and you're fighting that to stay above or staying afloat. The Stormer material, the neoprene material that Stormer Striker gear is made out of, it's positively buoyant, which means it will float you as long as you're not like holding onto a cinder block. It will actually float you in the water. Again, not to be used as a personal flotation device, but those are my two go-to rigs when it comes to gear, when it comes to rain gear. 100-mile-per-hour suit, the Bass Pro suit, and Stormer Striker is going to be where it's at. One more quick spinning rod question. Have you handled the new 7-foot medium Poison Adrena? Was kind of curious. Was it more medium light? The series tends to run JDM-ish and a power rating down. So I will tell you, I have the 7-foot medium Poison Adrena spinning rod, and you're 100% right, man. It doesn't have the backbone that you would normally see from a normal medium power spinning rod from Shimano. Like you pick up the X Pride 7-foot medium, whatever there is. If you look even in the Loomis lineup, which is obviously a Shimano product, the backbone or the action of those, I feel like you hit it right on the nail head when you said that you feel like that it's a one, powered down in the rating. So like a medium heavy would be more of a medium in our standards here, and I think you're 100% right. The 7-foot medium rod for me is a little on the light side. I like it, but I don't feel like it's a true medium power. The contrary to that, they have a 6-foot 11, so it's 1611 medium heavy spinning rod, and I own that one too. I think it's a 611, or maybe a 6'10". I'm not sure, but it's the medium heavy spinning rod from Poison Adrena. I own that one. I like that one a lot, but it's weird to me. I think it's a 6'10". It's a 1610. I gotta get this right. Let's see here. I want to make sure that I have this 100% correct for you, because I don't want to tell you wrong. I think it's a 6'10", if I'm not mistaken, but I'm going to make sure of this. Yeah, so it's a 6'11" medium heavy. When I bought that rod because I felt the medium. I was like, man, this is a little flimsy for my taste. What I'm going to be using it for, I'm going to be throwing like a bigger drop shot and things on it. I'm going to be horsing some bigger fish. I use a lot of my spinning rods for brown fish and spinning or smallmouth up north and things. So I bought that 6'10" or 6'11", knowing that it was a little short for my taste. I even like, man, if I'm fighting those big brown fish up north, I like a 7.3 to a 7.6 spinning rod. And Shimano actually just now come out with a 7.6 medium. I think it's a 7.6 medium heavy, and that thing's just got to be phenomenal for that. But I picked up the medium heavy thinking that it would be right in that medium lineup, but I think the shortness of it, that 1 inch extra, shorter than that 7-foot medium, actually adds more backbone than it needs. They need to come out with a rod that's in between that 6'11" medium heavy and the 7-foot medium, and it would be the absolute most awesome rod that Shimano's ever made, minus the G Loomis NRX Plus 852S, which again I think is pretty much a game changer for any rod. Hey, Carl, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining. New Corrado 150 MJLs are insane. I was completely blown away. They scream, and just like the K, built like a tank. Shimano crushed it, in my opinion. What's your thoughts? Well, I think that they are phenomenal. These things are they're going to be hard to be beat. And just like you say with the 200, they are built like a tank, and they absolutely. So let's dig back 15 years ago. And some of you guys may have some of these. I don't have them personally, but there's a Corrado that they created that was green. And it was the green Corrado that started the Shimano like craze that people wanted to have Shimano reels in their boat. And it come out to being that green Corrado. And the reason that is because it had like brass gears and a few other things that just created this, we'll use your words, built like a tank fishing, vehicle here. This reel. So fast forward 15 years, you're still getting that built like a tank structure, but you're getting all the new technology that comes with Shimano. You're getting that micro module gearing that is, recently just come out in the last 5-6 years for Shimano. Allows more teeth to contact each other, allows for a smoother reel, allow for less torque. You're getting X-ship technology in this reel, which is a dual bearing. It's a pinion gear that is supported on both sides with bearings, so you don't have that main gear that you're reeling on torquing and causing slippage in the reel. It also allows for, again, in my opinion, a more smooth reel feeling. Hagane body, you're getting a Hagane gearing in this thing. You're going to have, let me make sure that I have this right here. It is 6.5 ounces total, 6+1 bearings. You're going to get 13 pounds of drag. And again, this is the 6:2-to-1 gear ratio, probably a little different in each one. But the 6:2 gear ratio is going to be about 24 inches per reel crank. I held this up right at the tackle box next to a Corrado 70, which was the newest reel other than this one that came out from Shimano. And as far as the Corrado series, this reel feels roughly the same size as far as the body of this, like the 70. Spool's a little deeper. The reel handle's a little larger, and this section of the reel right here sticks out a little farther than the 70. But I think this is going to be just what the doctor ordered when it comes to that Corrado. The Corrado K200, or just the Corrado K, which is the 200, the 6-gear ratio in the Corrado K, the bigger series of this, has been my absolute go-to reel for, especially in that price point, for the past few years. 200E5, 200E7. So that's going to be the 5-gear ratio and the 7-gear ratio. Phenomenal stuff, man. I like the 7 or the 6 more than that. I like the 7. I own a couple 8s. I kind of regret buying them. I'm a power fisherman, so I get to cranking, man, that 8 unless you're pitching and flipping. That's the only place that I feel like that's needed. Top water or pitching and flipping, something that you can pick up a lot more line. You can make more casts throughout the day. And the quicker you can pick up line if you're flipping and pitching, the more casts and more pitches and flip you're going to be able to make throughout the day. So that's why I think 8s are needed. Other than that, stay away from them. I've actually went even away from 7s. Because again, I crank everything super fast. I like to stay in that 6-gear ratio. That way I'm not burning the crap out of those things. So, guys, we are about at that hour mark. If you guys missed most of the show, you could definitely go back and watch it. So we're talking there, and David wanted me to talk about some of my favorite frogs. And man, to be honest with you, I fish a ton of different frogs. My favorite frog on the planet is going to be a spro frog. And I like a popping frog. I also like just a regular frog when it comes to the the spro. I think it's called a bronze eye. I really like that one a lot. The colors that I throw more often than not is going to be something that's called midnight, which is just black with red eyes. I like throwing a black frog more often than not. The natural green and the natural red colors there. Let's go ahead and pull these things up here. So that is the natural red color there. You can see my favorite one to throw in any area is going to be the black one. I like throwing a black frog more than anything, but I have caught a ton of fish on a white frog when it comes to actually fishing frogs when I do. And I don't fish frogs a ton. There's not a whole lot of areas in my, or a lot of spots in my area that call for frog fishing. But when I throw that, it's going to be this spro, or I'll show you another frog that I absolutely like that I won't leave home without. And that is going to be made by Jackal. And there's a couple of them. One of them is, I think it's the Kaera or Kira, Kaera, which is a popping frog. But I like, let's see, I'm telling you wrong. That's the one that's not a top water frog, or it's top water, but it's not a popper. So that's the Kiera frog. And I like the black gill in that color. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So this, we'll add this here. This is not black gill. This is white. Really like that color as well. The black gill in the Kiera frog, I'm calling it Kiera frog, Kaera frog. You can pick this up. Notice it's about $10. This is Tackle Direct. And the glitter bluegill is a really good color as well. I like that frog. That's a good one. Spro, then it's probably going to be that Jackal frog there. And there's going to be one other frog that Jackal makes that I throw a lot, and that's going to be the popping frog that they created. And that is called the Gavacho frog. Quickest one I can find here is on Amazon. So, and it's a terrible picture, so I'm not going to put that up there. But the Gavacho frog is amazing. Something I throw a ton of. Those are the three frogs I'm going to be throwing. A couple of tips that I've learned along the way from pros and things. If you cut one of the little streamers for the legs, if you cut one of them a little shorter than the other, it'll actually cause more action in the water, which is something really cool. I personally, again, I love to say that I fish them a ton. I don't. They do catch fish. But if I'm throwing something on top water, I'm throwing a buzz bait or some kind of walking bait like, a striking sexy dog, or even, something. I'll throw something like a popper a lot if I'm throwing top water. Don't throw a frog a ton because there's not a lot of grass and things around my area. So if I'm throwing top water, it's going to be a buzz bait or a walking bait or a popper. But those three frogs are going to be my go-to. Again, the Spro Bronze Eye, and you're going to be looking at the Jackal Gavacho, which is going to be the popping frog, or the Kiera. I think that's how it's spelled. But those are going to be my frogs of choice. But with that being said, guys, we're hitting that 1 hour mark, and I appreciate you guys sticking around for this episode of On Another Line. We'll be back online again next Tuesday. If you guys would care, if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would appreciate if you would go up there and do that. We are knocking down some really nice numbers over there, and I appreciate the support. I would like to eventually move this show directly only onto YouTube, but I don't want to do that because I have some followers on YouTube or Facebook as well. But if you make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll make sure that you know if that ever happens. But without further ado, guys, if you guys can, be sure to get out there and lean on them. If you can, if it's nice where you live, or we get a nice day, get out there, definitely lean on them. A couple of things we got coming up here soon. It's not super soon, but always on Valentine's Day weekend, the week of Valentine's Day there, the Tackle Box has their open house. So coming up in February, which is soon, roughly soon. And before that, I am headed to Lake Fork in Texas in April to absolutely lean on an absolute swamp donkey. I hope so. We will see. Again, guys, thanks for the support. Thanks for joining this episode of On Another Line. If you can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.
Up in a cat and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. Gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-loop is right. I bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck and give it a whirl. Hello, welcome to my